So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium and a tiny no arrow walk. Today we have special guest, astrologer Christina Del Rey with us. She teaches astrology at the Ivy League Psychic Academy. She also has her own YouTube channel where she's doing monthly horoscopes for you guys and updates on the planetary shifts. Christina, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. And then we have Paulie, our adorable producer. How you doing, Paul?
Well now.
So you guys can post your questions and Paul will be taking them throughout the show. And if he's not interjecting there, we'll be saving them until the end. Now, today we have Christina on here for the third time in a short period of time. This is the third class in a series that she and I will be doing on raising consciousness, because we are firm believers that the time is now for light workers to step up and start fulfilling their contracts, for everyone to step into their higher being, higher self, higher mind. There is no time like the present. This is it. Everyone is being called forward. And we want to help you to tap into that higher vibration for yourself. So Christina was on a few weeks ago. We did a free mini class. You can go back on this YouTube channel and find it, called Feelings versus Intuition, How Not to Make Decisions from Your Emotions. She talks on there about how the planets will affect you and cause you to feel excessively emotional, possibly causing you to run the risk of making decisions from your feelings when you should be making them from your intuition. We also had Christina on for end times. Are we there? A look at our current situation here, not only in America, but in the world, and changes that are going on planetarily, socially. What does it mean? Are we in the book of Revelations? Are we in the end times? So you could go back and check that out too. Today, though, we are talking about high vibration versus low vibration and how the planets can affect you in such a way that it's overwhelmingly negative, and you will feel as though you're having to battle your own self to tap into that high vibration. So we're going to be breaking that down today. Now, before we get into that, I do want to explain to everyone that we appreciate you sharing this video, giving it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe. I am joining together with the Stop Hate for Profit campaign with the NAACP and the Anti-Defamation League to cut all funds to Facebook and Instagram for their hate speech. And this is a tough blow to a small business and spiritual movement like this. So please do contribute by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Thank you. Okay, so Christina, I have some questions for you, okay? We are really all aware on some level or another, whether we practice it or not, we're all pretty much aware that the 3 steps that you need to take to tap into a higher vibration in your life is mindfulness. Number 1, you have to be aware of yourself, right? You have to be aware of your thoughts. Education, so knowing what to do to replace that negativity with positivity, and taking action, behavioral modification, self-control, whatever you need to do to make it happen. We can't stand back and just say, oh, well, somebody else is going to come do it for me. No, we have to do the hard work. But beyond that, what can you tell people about the planet and how they might make those 3 steps incredibly difficult to do? I know that you were looking a lot. I don't know if this is just for the summer or if it's in general, but I've heard you talk a lot about Mars and transitions with Mars. How does that trigger us? What is Mars all about?
Well, I think the fact that summer has come and we're all, we're outside, we're coming off of being very frustrated from quarantine. And, we live in the city of Buffalo. So there is, there's been a lot of violence in the city of Buffalo lately. And, the only way to really stop that, I feel like, is using some of these tools that we teach and, being mindful and using these tools, because if you don't know, then you're going to be on the wrong path. You know what I'm saying? So it's like here at the Academy, we try to empower you with, the knowledge that we have. You make your own decisions based on the knowledge that you have. We, like Maya Angelou says, you do your best until you know better, right? So, right. And how are we going to know better? Well, through educating ourselves and through having these tools and putting them to use. And even, and, Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high, that's what she's talking about. She's talking about high vibrational behavior. So, a consciousness revolution is really just making people aware of these planetary energies and how they can raise their own individual vibrations there in order to raise the collective vibration. And when you do that, you're able to sort of step into the blessings that your higher power, whomever you believe that to be, Jesus, God, whoever you pray to, once you step into some of these higher vibrations, you can bring the blessings to yourself now, and and to those around you as well. And if you're not aware, those blessings can pass you by.
Like law of attraction.
Yes, but it's charted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the blessings are going to come, but they will be so much more meaningful and so much more fruitful if you use that energy to, you know what I mean? If you're empowered by knowing what to do. And, when I remember before I knew about astrology and everything and something good would happen, I would think, oh, things are changing this much, everything's going to be great from now on. Well, maybe not, you know what I mean? That's not really how it works, you get like, there's certain cycles, you get every 12 years, you get these big blessings. Well, if you don't know that, you're just going to think, oh, I'm good. Everything's going to be fine from now on. No. Like you have to tap into those energies to get the blessings.
I just want to say this, playing off of that. I think that there are too many people who don't understand that you're not born into good luck or bad luck per se. There are cycles. We are all going through cycles. We're supposed to maximize all of those cycles. And when you were talking about the blessings, the upswing, God, the universe, giving you these blessings, and it being a lot like, law of attraction, would you agree that people can miss the boat? I think too many people sit idly by thinking that, oh, well, it'll come around again, or it's no big deal that I missed that opportunity. I have time. I see many, many things as a psychic medium in people's life contract that are on deadlines. Now, this is great for relief, but it's also pressure to get things done on time.
Yeah, that's true, because, opportunities come and they, this energy, it might come once in your life. Maybe. And if you don't take advantage of that, that's going to be a regret someday, and that the blessing won't come in its full form. There might still be some blessings, but it won't come in its full form if you're not aware. And the thing that people need to know too is that, we can, with our knowledge, we're empowering you to ask deeper questions. We're not saying we know everything, follow us. You know what I mean? That's not what we're saying. We're saying we can give you the tools, because all the answers are within you. Yes. You just have to know how to pull them out to get the best blessings, you know what I mean, to fulfill your highest vibration. Because if you meet somebody who says, I know everything, I have all the answers, follow me, be very afraid of that person. Run the other way, because nobody has all the answers. We only have these tools for you to tap into those, energies, so that you can bring yourself, that, awareness, and how can you rise to the highest vibration and bring change. I mean, we are in changing times. Like this is a once in a lifetime thing that is going on in the world right now, and very big in the city of Buffalo of what's going on. So we do have Mars, and, anybody who's an Aries, or a Scorpio for that matter, would be very familiar with this Mars energy. But Mars just entered its home sign, which is Aries, for 6 months. Now that is a very rare thing. We only have usually about 6 weeks. So because there's a retrograde involved here, we have this Mars energy really coming at us for the summer. And if we are not in a higher consciousness, if we don't know this, this can be violent. So
right, because Mars is the planet of war.
Yes. And the thing is that, if we're conscious, we can do so much with this energy. Mars is action, it's drive, it's instinct, it's fire. It's like that first breath energy. Mars is survival. Okay. So, as humans, we've evolved, but, there are times in life when we need to survive and we have to act that way. It also has a component of sexual reproduction. It is sort of connected to that because the species needs to survive, to keep moving, to keep evolving.
Okay.
So it is connected to that as well. And I always think, and it's funny, but like I always watch my dogs because they're, dogs are primal, and we all have a little bit of primal within us. And, they're just in the moment, like they growl at each other and they do this. And I always think, gosh, I feel like that. You know what I mean? Like, somebody pissed you off and you're like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like you just want to lash right out at them. And, because we're humans, we have to bring that up, like we can't, Mars is very animalistic. We have to have that because we might need that someday. We might have to fight out of a situation someday.
Right.
And some of us more than others. But when you feel this anger rise up within you, this is often Mars triggering you. And the important thing is that when we feel that war happen in us, because we all have a war in us, and people that we meet can trigger that to come out, right? So when we feel that, it's really important. Exactly what you're saying with the 3 steps. Step 1 is that consciousness. Okay, I'm feeling this. You know what I mean? I'm mindful of it. I have to realize that I'm going to pop off at somebody right now. Okay. Yep. You know what I mean? We've all been there. We all know. And I'm going to lash out right now. So you're like, you have to, you may have to separate yourself from that situation, but we need to make sure that we are using the spiritual warrior instead of, the military war, because Mars rules people in the military. Mars rules police officers as well. Like this is that energy of that in the moment fighting, you know what I mean? And because think about it, it's primal, right? And we need that. It's not like we don't need that, but we also need to rise above it with, higher consciousness. And step 2 is like training yourself to do that. And and just the awareness, like you said, with your training and all the classes that you offer, you kind of teach people step by step how to, well, you know what I mean? Hold back a second, you have to block out their energies, not absorb them. And then you have to decide how am I going to separate myself from others' energy? How am I going to think about this and use the energy or use the anger to fight and bless myself? Like, how am I going to use this action to bless myself and also bless others around me? Because, you can get upset and you can pop off at somebody, but who's that helping? Who's that helping? You know what I mean? Is there a moment where that is necessary? Yes. Okay. There may come a time where, yes, you have to speak your truth, but can you do it in a way that leaves you with dignity? Do you have to do it in a way that steals the other person's dignity? No matter how, like Michelle Obama said, they go low, we go high. Can we say our truth? Can we take action and still keep our integrity?
Yeah. And I want to say, like, off of that, you guys are probably hearing this and you're like, okay, yes, but how? And in the heat of the moment, but how? And if this is a 6-month transition with Mars being at the forefront, affecting everyone, making everyone act like animals.
Yes.
Okay, but how? At a time, no coincidence, right? At a time when we are looking at defunding the police and protest and activism and real change for the first time in a long time. None of this is a coincidence. It's all perfectly coming in just at the right time. But we have to use that Mars warrior energy from the high vibe, or we become more stagnant or more destructive. It sets us back. This is why Christina and I are saying the time is now. Absolutely. Now, here are a couple other free mini classes that I put up since the quarantine started that can help you with those details she was just talking about. The first one is called How to Check Your Ego. Don't forget, ego isn't just about, having an arrogant attitude about yourself or having no self-esteem and covering it up with an arrogant attitude. Your ego is about fear. It's about feeling powerless. And it's about cutting yourself off from your higher mind, your intuitive intelligence. Okay, so we don't want to be reactionary. Get rid of that ego. Check out that class. Another one is called Free Will versus Destiny Charted Future. I feel like, Christina, one of the things that we see constantly with our clients or our students is this victimhood mentality. Well, I can't. Well, it's easier said than done. Well, I wish. Well, I hope. Well, they seem to not understand the difference between free will and destiny charted future. Planets can be set in motion. Life contracts can be things that you decided on before you came to Earth. Deadlines are a very real thing, but so is free will. Every single one of those opportunities comes with, an option for you to choose high versus low. So check out Free Will versus Destiny Charted Future. And the third one I'm recommending for you guys today is How to Hate Less and Forgive More. And Christina, I would like to hear, while we're still on the topic of Mars, because it is the planet of war, how you feel this plays into that. Because that free mini class, while I don't know that it's getting as much traction as I would hope, people don't like to work really hard on forgiveness. But if you have a grudge in your heart, if you are aggressive towards someone else, you can't let it go. It blocks your prosperity. True. And it is the biggest block, I would say, of anything that prevents you from tapping into that high vibration and receiving those blessings from the universe.
Totally agree, because that will set you free and you don't have to talk to that person ever again.
It has nothing to do with them. Watch the class.
It's such and I did have people that in my childhood that I had to forgive, nobody I had to talk to again. But once you let that off your shoulders and you give that to the higher power, you're free, and it's freeing your life up to bring you blessings. So the only thing you're doing by holding a grudge is blocking blessings to yourself. So, and we just had a lunar eclipse yesterday, actually. And, some of you may have been freed from something like that, it had a nice trine to Uranus, and, we'll talk about Uranus in a little bit. But sometimes there just comes a moment where all of a sudden you feel free, and you're empowered by that, you're empowered by that. So.
And that was yesterday?
Yes.
Interesting.
So very, very interesting. And freedom, it can come quickly and surprisingly, but it can also free you in a way that leaves so many more blessings for you to tap into. So
and isn't that amazing that just as we're entering into this battle with Mars, a battle within ourselves, a battle with each other, a battle with the police, a battle with, authority and military and all of this. As we're doing that, we have an eclipse that helps us to release what needs to be taken out of the way. The universe is helping.
And it's pushing us. And this eclipse that happened was the last in the series of Capricorn Cancer. So we're kind of closing that door. This year is really about closing that door and then stepping into this higher consciousness, this more equal level playing field of the age of Aquarius that's coming, that we're going to be, more stepping into. And the battle is coming, if anybody thinks we're fighting a battle now, just wait. It's coming.
That's right.
And, and we do have, starting in August, Mars is going to be up there, and he's going to square all those planets we talked about in our last mini class. On the end times, so people can go back and look at that. But he's going to make squares to the power players in the sky, and those are going to be tense. That's going to be like, war-ish energy, whether it be action or words, or, this is going to be intensity. So if we go low, you know what I mean, and they go low, what are we looking at?
Yeah,
we're looking at disaster, right? So we have to make sure. And I know there are plenty of wonderful spiritual warriors out there, Danny being one of them. I know that there's many out there. I know that there are, but we need more.
Well, everyone as individuals needs to step up, and it's about knowing yourself, knowing where your energy is going. And this is a great class for you guys to tune into, because now that there is Mars, the planet of war, just shifted. It's going to be there for 6 months. You know, listen to what Christina said. You could see it watching the dogs. You could see it with your own reaction. Something that would have been like water off a duck's back before. Now you want to lash out and attack that person. You know, maybe you enjoy driving normally, but now you want to get out, have road rage. You know, what is happening? Why is it happening? How long is it going to go on for? And how can you use that as a tool to vibe high, not low? What skill are you supposed to be picking up on? So
it's important to remember, like, you can't help how you're feeling in that moment. The only thing you can control is your reaction.
That's right.
So it's like, you know, when you pop off at somebody, that's an act of self, you know, that's like, oh, I'm in charge of myself. You know what I mean? Like, I am empowered. I didn't do that. I really wanted to, but I held back. You know, that's self-mastery right there. Right. And that's like taking that and putting yourself up a level. So every time you don't pop off at somebody that is really deserves it.
Even on social media, folks, start practicing there.
Yeah, exactly. Just, know that you're higher, you're making your level higher. And then you say to yourself, what can I do that will bring, change, meaningful change? Not, I'm just going to get into a verbal argument with somebody on a low level. No, don't give that your energy, because that's what you were talking about before.
Mindfulness.
Now
That's the point.
Now you're giving them your energy. You're giving them your power. You're handing it to them. Don't hand them your power. No.
And also, we have another class called Empathic Awareness, and I have a whole website for these classes. Like I said, with the activists and protest anti-burnout, and for children, for teachers, at Ivy Rivera, empathiceducator.com. I'll have Paul put that in the comments. But this is another big issue, especially with something like Mars transitioning here, creating all of that like animalistic, rage. And I thought it was interesting that you mentioned the babies, the potential for pregnancies and whatnot. When we start talking about empathic ability, which everybody has, there are 4 different levels. I train on that website, but we are all at risk for absorbing from other people and taking that in and not knowing the difference between what is mine and what is others. So the rage that you may be feeling and battling is not even your own. That is another great course for you to take to learn how to block out other people's energy. If not now, when?
Especially if you're a healer, or if you're working with people. If you work in an office next to somebody, you have to know how to block out the energy. Yeah. You really, like my students always say to me, Miss, are you in your bubble again? And I'll say, I'm sorry, let me take down the bubble. They know. They know. My own children know. That's something that you have to protect your energy, because if you're not protecting your energy, how are you going to be a spiritual warrior?
And how can you be mindful when you don't know what is yours and what is others inside?
And there's only one way to learn that, and that is through the curriculum that you offer.
Yeah,
there really isn't another way.
No, there isn't, and it takes hard work. It does.
And I had no idea. I had no idea how to connect what was coming from spirit to what was going, you know what I mean? Now, now I can work as a channel, whereas I didn't know what was mine, what was spirit, what was somebody else's. The boundaries weren't there for me.
Yes.
Now I know, and now I know what to protect. And I'm not perfect. Believe me, I'll probably pop off at somebody at some point, you know what I mean? But, when you have those moments, and you can go, if you do have a moment like that, and you can go back and kind of say, I'm really sorry, or, and even if they deserved it, kind of take back whatever you gave to them and kind of, take it back.
Mars is the planet of I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's impulsive, but the higher vibration of that is that we can really, like, right now, we have so much energy. We have so much drive to get things accomplished. So if we go to the high, if we go high, we're going to get a lot accomplished, especially for people like, like Danny and her tribe that is really out there in the streets, making the differences, and anybody who wants to put their energy into something fruitful, they're going to have a lot of it now. So if they're using it in the right way, you're going to really you're going to up your level, so if you're looking into spiritual classes, if you're looking into doing something like that, you're going to have all this energy, now, 6 months. That's a long time. I plan on using that energy.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. And Christina's referring to Danny Johnson, who was part of our End Times class. So we did that free mini class the last time we were together. It was called End Times, Are We There? Danny Johnson is an activist who also works with the Academy.
And Danny is on tonight, and she said thank you to you and Christina. She said she's grateful to learn from both of you and to serve this movement with love and self-accountability.
That's right, love and self-accountability, right? So
if we learn from her as well, so.
Absolutely, yes. We love having you. We have to realize once and for all that if we are in a unique position to make tremendous change right now, we are all participating in that. We all collectively need to feed the high. So I love that about Mars. Difficult as it can be, and you're saying Aries and Scorpios, would understand this the most. Well, people like that in your life, they can be difficult. They can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Some compulsive sometimes, very fiery, even though it's not technically, those aren't fire signs, but.
Yeah, Aries is fire. Aries is
fire.
Yeah, I mean, my Aries, they all know, anybody who's watching that's an Aries, patience is not, a thing with them. They have to really work at that, so, but that, they're there to learn that too, and, how to control that. So.
And right now, this is their time. And the high vibration, of Mars is that power, that opportunity, that push.
Meaningful
Make
change.
it happen.
Not just actions,
yes.
but meaningful actions.
Okay, huge. Yeah. Love it. What about Uranus? How is that a planet that tends to affect us negatively in a harsh way?
Well, interestingly enough, Mars and Uranus is sort of considered the higher vibration of Mars, believe it or not. But Uranus has its own story, okay? Uranus is the rebel rouser. When he comes along and he touches one of your personal planets in your chart, he may turn your life upside down. And just when you thought you had control, right? Everything's going great. This has so been me, right? Everything's going great. You're coasting. Uranus comes along and nothing's the same. Everything is turned upside down. And you're like, what the hell just happened, right? And if he makes a hard aspect to one of your chart points or planets, you have no idea what just hit you. It's shocking. It's erratic. I don't know what I want. I have all this energy. I got to get rid of the energy. I'm not sure what to do. And this can be also, you can make an impulsive decision here just because, Uranus is electricity. So if you think about electricity or thunder and lightning, right?
Okay.
So it comes out of the blue. It's very surprising. And you think to yourself, you want freedom and you want it now. So sometimes you can just be like, you know what? Not doing this anymore. I quit.
Create it. Yeah.
And there is this saying that goes with Uranus that don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, if you take the low, and every planet has a low vibration, high vibration. So the lower vibration here would be quitting and not having anywhere to go, or leaving something that you worked on and it's gone, or making a decision to, hurt somebody and then you want to take it back later,
So when Uranus is making a major, transit in your chart somewhere, do people run the risk of doing things like leaving their career or leaving their marriage?
Yeah.
Or turning, what about drug and alcohol abuse or bad habits, escapist tendencies because they don't want to do the work? What are we looking at?
This would be more of like making a sudden decision like that. And then it possibly you regretting it later. But the energy is there for a reason. So that's when you have to start asking yourself, harder questions like, okay, I can't help what I'm feeling. Why exactly am I feeling this? You have to think about consequences with this too, because, okay, I don't feel like being in my marriage anymore. I'm just going to go. Well, okay, but how's that going to affect your kids? How's that going to, Like you have to think of other people other than yourself. And then you have to kind of decide, how are you going to get that freedom that Uranus wants so badly? How can you make that work in your life? So
Uranus isn't necessarily about forcing you to look at what needs to change for the sake of change. It's, or to go from low to high, it's more about helping you to get to a place of freedom.
Yes. And like, that's the higher vibration. It's freedom, independence, and the real, people with strong Uranus in their chart, they tend to be like a walking revolution because Uranus is all about revolution. So these are the people who live their truth no matter what, you know what I mean? No matter what.
And what signs are ruled by Uranus?
This is mostly Aquarius, but you can have a strong Uranus in your chart without being Aquarian. You know what I mean? So these are people who, you know, I'm just going to go live my truth and I'm not going to care. I'm going to have purple hair and I'm going to, you know, I don't know, whatever feels good to you. And you know that you're honest with yourself. And it sets you apart, because Uranus is really all about being different and going your own way. And, you know, regardless of what other people think. And, you know, this is a big thing in astrology, mediumship, you know what I mean? Like, we all have, you know, somewhat of a strong Uranus in our chart, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. We would be busy blending with everybody else, you know, or so, you know, to go against the grain, that is the Uranus energy. But it's very important to make sure you have a purpose. You don't want to be, you know, a person that goes against the grain just because you feel like stirring up some, you know, trouble. No, you don't want to be that person. You want to make sure that if you're going to walk that freedom line, if you're going to be true to yourself, that you are going to do it for a purpose, you know.
And are we seeing a lot going on with Uranus this summer or right now?
Probably not now, but next year we have a series of squares. Okay. And well, they are sort of in orb, but they're not coming to a full meeting yet. Okay. But 2021 will be the struggle between the old and the new, and there will be 3 meetings of Saturn and Uranus, and it's going to be a pull, it's going to be a fight, you know, it's going to be friction between the old and the new, the old regime and the new regime, and the, you know, what we're leaving behind and what's coming in. And with revolution, there is always, you know, there's always resistance, and there is going to be resistance. So if we act out of low vibrational behavior, we're going to be in trouble. You know, that's not going to bring us where we need to go. Like, I guess that's, you know, that's the whole thing. And we just want to make sure that we have a purpose, we keep that purpose in mind, and then we try to get to that purpose, that goal, as, you know, as high vibrational as we possibly can.
Okay, beautiful. And I have just one more question for you before we start taking people's questions and comments over here. Mm-hmm. What about Pluto? Because my understanding of Pluto, and based on a Pluto transit that I recently went through, this one seems sometimes to be the most brutal out of all of them. And talk about not knowing what hit you. You're saying that with the Uranus transit, but I felt it with this also.
Mm-hmm. Pluto is the planet. It's like the slowest moving planet. So the slower the planet moves, the more you feel it. Yep. And when Pluto comes along and it touches a planet, a personal planet, or, you know, a personal point in your chart, that's going to be some slow transformation. Okay. And it's not an easy transformation. It's going to be you digging deep into the themes that are playing out, and you looking at what's ugly. Pluto is always looking at the ugly. And it's also looking at the ugly, and it's really, you know, with the Greek mythology and all that, it was actually going to hell and getting rid of everything you own, and then realizing what is important, and then coming out on the other side, getting back your things that you left behind, but they mean something different to you now. So that's the transformation there. It's,
you know, like, can I just say too, I had repeat dreams throughout my Pluto transit, and I believe you told me I got a double dose of it. So most people get it for X amount of time, and I got it for double that amount of time. But that entire time, without fully understanding what you were telling me, I was like, okay. I did notice as it got more intense and the further into hell I went, the more I was listening to the things you were teaching me on this. But I have a whole journal of dreams where I would be leaving something, you know, up a tunnel or in a hole. I would have to go back. I would have to climb back. I'd have to always go back I always got back what I lost, but it didn't come cheap and it didn't come easy, you know?
And maybe you had a different appreciation or a different value of it when it came back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and this can be objects, this can be relationships, you know, depends on what it's touching in your chart. It could be your career, it could be your identity, it could be, because Pluto is, you know, the rising phoenix, you know, like it's the phoenix rising. It's like it burns to the ground, whatever it's touching. And then you can rebuild it again. And it is, you know, it's something that, you know, we don't completely understand it because it's very karmic. Pluto is a very karmic planet. So it, you know, we have talked about karma in the past, and people think that karma is just what you've done in this life. And that is some of that is true, but that you still have karma, the way that you have, you know, the way that you get, I don't know, the way that you get diabetes, or the way you get, you know, I don't know, high blood pressure, whatever your element is, you're inheriting that health karma. Yeah. Well, you're inheriting the vibrational DNA karma as well. So, you know, whatever your ancestors did, that is in your DNA. So, and, you know, you follow your soul tribe. So, you know, you're learning these karmic lessons. So, you know, while this is happening, you're not really sure why it's happening, but you know that if you choose, and Pluto's the hardest because during the low vibrations of Pluto, during these transits, this is when you see somebody fall into obsession. They fall into dark thoughts, perhaps of premeditated murder or suicide. You see self-sabotage. You see that, like, they are, you can almost look at them and say, whoa, something's not right there. You know what I mean? Like this is a time where, you know, therapy helps. But the pull with Pluto is so strong that it's often hard to resist, you know. So this is where, you know, this is where you really have to kind of open up to somebody, not keep it all to yourself, somebody who understands. Pluto's a tough one because you really can't, you know, It's very hard to do Pluto all by yourself. But you have to keep in mind that there's a time frame here, and, you know, an astrologer or, you know, somebody who can tell you, all right, you're going to start feeling better after such and such date. At least that helps to know there's an ending there. But the thing is, when you come out of that Pluto and you've done good by Pluto, you've gone to the higher vibration, you feel empowered. You have a new sense of empowerment that nobody can take from you.
Because literally you went through hell. One of the things you and I have been talking about, so Christina and I are looking at putting on another free mini class Q&A for you guys coming up here soon, where we do talk about those murderous aspects, that suicide, why so many people turn to that. And there it is. It is because you don't know when the end date is, and the pain can be too much to bear. So that, you know, there isn't anyone or anything living that doesn't suffer, but I think that people know their threshold, you know, pretty well. And they think, well, I can't carry this level of pain, you know, or I can't tolerate that person or that situation anymore. So they lose it. You know, they lose it. They lose their shit. And if they had a date, an end point, and the other unique thing that I've seen with other people who went through Pluto transits, or that you've told me in my own chart, is that there are moments before that end point where the pain lessens, or the temptation will get easier, or whatever it is. And to just even have that to hold on to can be enough for people. I think that's going to be a really important show. And fascinating. Because nobody talks about it.
We can touch on Dark Night of the Soul and all that stuff, but, you know, I just, what came to mind was that guy that murdered his whole family. Remember that? It was not too long ago. That his name was Chris. I can't remember what his name was, but he murdered his pregnant wife and his 2 children, and then he put them in those silo things.
Yeah.
And you know, and honestly, like, the guy, he really seemed sort of normal. You know what I mean? Like, and he was loved by almost everybody. And, you know, I haven't read his chart or anything like that, but that's what Pluto will take you to. You know what I mean? Like, a person who normally would not do that all of a sudden starts getting these obsessive thoughts, you know what I mean? And then these really dark thoughts, and then, you know, murder, suicide, all of a sudden these things start to seem like they're possible, especially if you're in an environment that you don't have a really good moral compass. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you didn't grow up with a parent with a really good moral compass, you don't have, you know what I mean?
Which could be part of the karma and the generational heaviness. And we have a class up on the website called Karma, Contracts, and Past Lives. Paul, if you could put that in the feed. Karma, Contracts, and Past Lives breaks this down for you. What is a generational curse? Is there any such thing? Not really, but will you be taking on the energy from previous generations? And when Christina's talking about, you know, Pluto being about karma, it can be past life. Also, talk about these difficult relationships and things burning down. Well, if there's karma there that needs to be worked out, you know, we need to tap into who were we before? Where do we need to be heading? And I love how you said it is always going to break down, especially in karma, to what is the lesson? Where can I take this? What is the high vibration? You just need to survive it.
And you have to, there's a certain amount of trust with Pluto too, because you have to trust that it's going to rebuild from the ashes. So at your lowest point, you just have to kind of trust, okay, this is going to rebuild. This is going to regenerate. It's really painful right now. This is the darkest point, but it's going to get better. You know, and I think
guys, feel free to post. If you think you went through something like this, a dark night of the soul, you know, feel free to post maybe what happened or how long it took. What is the average length of a Pluto transit?
It can be 2 to 3 years. So,
and does this happen for everybody at some point or not so much?
No, like some people, you know, at some point Pluto will touch things in your chart, but not everybody's going to have Pluto opposite Mercury. You know what I mean? Like Pluto takes so long to get around the, you know, like 184 years or something like that to get all the way around the solar system. So it's not going to affect everybody as badly as some. So
the lucky few, huh?
Yeah, the lucky few.
But it will touch your planet.
Like you got 5 hits instead of 3, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I got 5 hits instead of 3. So 5 hits. But without the education, I don't know how I would have handled that.
And people who are Cancers or Capricorns, you know, they have been feeling it probably most intense because, you know, if you're a Capricorn, at some point Pluto will or has conjunct your sun. And that's probably one of the most intense transits. And if you're a Cancer, it may have, it may have opposed one of your planets. So that, you know, that may
just
have
dealing with a major transit with Pluto.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think my personal opinion that Cancers and Capricorns have had the hardest time with Pluto transiting, you know.
And when did that start?
I don't have the dates in front of me, but
like a few months ago.
No, this has been a long time. Thank God, like we're getting into, Pluto's going to go into Aquarius in 2023, 2024. So we're going to be out of this cycle. But yeah, it's thank God. Because
thank God. It's brutal, right? But again, it is time for change. And without this, right, we always want to look at the light. We always want to look at what's fun. We always want to look at rainbows and butterflies and what feels good.
And there's none of that with Pluto.
No, there's none of that with Pluto. There's
not going to get any of that.
None of that. And with the 3 of these, you know, it's sort of like we have to have something to offset the good to push us through. We can't just continue on the way that we have been. So
we have to have the tools, and the education is really the only way that we can get tools. You know, your faith in whoever you pray to, and then the tools to get through, and that's through the education that, you know, that you offer. And this is the only way that we are all going to join this consciousness revolution, because if we stay not conscious, if we stay not awake, you know, the future is going to be very dismal.
Yes, it is. And I want to also encourage, you know, I've been posting a lot lately, light workers, it is time for you to step up. I find it very disappointing that there are many light workers out there who aren't doing what they need to do. And it's because they're always waiting on someone to come and tell them to do it. That's it. This is it. Feeling drawn to it. Knowing that you're called to do it is it. It's not, you know, it doesn't make you super special. It's not a gift. it is something that we all have, but some of us are called to use it full time during this transition, especially. Okay, so don't be waiting on anyone to tell you. Just move forward. Come get the education here at the Academy. Okay, what questions or comments do we have coming in here for Christina or I?
We have a question from Crystal. What signs are being affected by a Pluto transit currently?
She asked what signs are being affected right now the most by Pluto.
I would say the most, the most is Capricorn, but the, Cancer too, and then, the other cardinal signs. But, to me, those two are just they are the most.
Cancer and Capricorn. And what are the other cardinal signs?
Like Aries and Libra. So, but they're getting squares. But to me, like you have to see your personal chart.
Yeah.
So to know, you know what I mean, to know if they're touching any personal planets. But Capricorns have had it a little rough, for a while now. So, but once we step into Aquarius, like that energy changes. And then there will be some ugly that we have to look at in Aquarius too. But, that we're going to have to step into, more equality for everybody, not just a certain type of person, where we have to move towards that, equal.
Amen. We have another one?
No questions, but we did get some good comments. Kim had said that she's been talking a lot all day, actually, about the Phoenix and, rising up after rebuilding. And when he was speaking about Mars, MT took that very, very strongly. She's like, use the Mars war energy instead of war.
Yes.
Use it to educate yourself for meaningful actions. And she said, thank you. And this is a great one from Heather. She said, she loves what can be destructive energy for some, can be reconstructive for others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's very, very interesting.
Absolutely. And we can learn from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I always tell people with a strong Mars too, if nothing else, like if you're so frustrated, go for a run, you know what I mean? Or do something physical, because, Mars is the action energy. So if you just go like ride a bike or run or do something, you can get rid of that energy. Same thing with Uranus too. If it just means taking a walk or, like somehow you get that energy out, that might, help you to channel spirit too and figure out what you're supposed to be going towards. But sometimes you need the
it really does too. Yeah. Motion meditation is like,
yeah. I mean, some people can't sit and,
No, I can't. Clean or what? Maybe not clean, but walk. Yeah. Exercise, do something, keep yourself going and just listen.
Yeah. And people, I'm not the person that runs. I don't do that. But my daughter, she has, an Aries moon, so Mars rules her moon. So she runs 3 miles a day, it helps her. I can't even imagine. Me with all my water, running, no, not happening. If I'm running, you run, because something's chasing us.
Put that fire out. You have another one coming in here, Paul?
Well, MT had asked, and I think this may be what Christina touched on just a minute ago, is when is the equality of Aquarius energy coming?
2023?
Yeah, Saturn's going to go into Aquarius in December. So that's going to sort of begin our cycle with that. And then Pluto is going to step in. So then it'll be like we're even more into it by then. And, we kind of talked a little bit about that in end times, but, technology is going to take off at this point, and, things that we've never even imagined, are going to exist. So, I think once Pluto goes in there, we may have to look at the ugly side of that, so we'll see what we'll be here to talk about that when it comes.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, for sure. But December 2020, it starts to shift a bit.
Yeah. We kind of got a glimpse of it at the end of March, beginning of April. We got, if you were paying attention, we got a little glimpse of kind of the technology and, and people rising to the occasion of, acting like, we have to make people equal, those things started to come up, and it's just a glimpse at this point. We're not even fully into that yet. So,
well, I just want to go over again. Okay, this is a lot of really great information, how to apply it to your life. the 3 steps. It's always going to be number 1, mindfulness. You have to be mindful of who you are, of what you're thinking, what you're putting your thoughts toward, how you're feeling emotionally, how you feel you're wanting to react, where your intuition is. Be mindful of yourself. This is where we start. Once you're mindful of yourself and you know your reactions, then you can move on to the second step, which is education. You have to become knowledgeable about why it is, okay? The root issues. Why are you feeling what you're feeling, thinking what you're thinking, having the impulses that you're having? We also want to become aware, and I would highly recommend, if you guys don't tune into anything else, get the empathic awareness course. Because if you don't understand what is mine versus what is others invading me, you don't really have a prayer of balancing all of this out. We have to start with education, and then you can take those skills. And step number 3 is action. That means no more excuses. That means you have to have follow through. You have to set up new habits and routines on the way.
That's the training yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the longer you do it, the easier it becomes. It's always going to seem overwhelming in the beginning. Or people will take the empathic awareness class and they'll say, well, I took it a week ago and I don't feel a change. Well, you spent 53 years not doing it properly. It's going to take more than one attempt. You have to stick with it. But the blessings are tremendous. And once you start tapping into that high vibe, you don't go low.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing, like you want to, do you want to just live, or do you want to live your best life?
And you want to contribute something to the world around you.
Right. But when you're contributing to others, you are living, you know what I mean? Like it goes hand in hand. When you bless others, you bless yourself. So it's like, when you have that awareness, and it needs to be in our schools too. The teenagers, they need to know, they struggle so much, and I see it on a daily basis. We need to let teenagers know this stuff so that they are better prepared.
That's right. The consciousness revolution. Yes.
Is there
anything else you want to tell everybody?
Well, I just looked it up, and Pluto and Capricorn was 16-year period. So we're getting out of it. We're going out of it. So that's good news, right? I want everybody to be vibrationally prepared. And, there are times when, that I am not, maybe I'm not making the best choice, or or you can see that somebody else isn't making the best choice. And maybe you can remind them or kind of propel them to, maybe you should listen to this, or maybe you should tap into this. I know I would like to do, we've been talking about me doing some downloadable classes. I think that, I might do one on like the sun signs, and, how to find your sun sign, and just know where your specialness is. And maybe you can work from there, empowering yourself, because you do have something to contribute. You just have to figure out what it is. You just have to get to know yourself a little bit better, so you can go to that high vibration, so that you can live the life that you came to live, and get the lessons that you were supposed to when you came.
It is eye-opening to get a chart with Christina, to understand, why you're here, where you came from, what your highest is for yourself, what you're meant to do. And see me too if you feel lost about that. For a life contract reading, I can tell you what it is that you signed on to do before you came to Earth. And I don't think she or we never do our readings together, but they always match perfectly. So the planets don't lie, and neither does the life contract. But to understand that you did come here with a big purpose, and the time is now for us to all collectively step up. You just need to pick up on the tools. So we hope to see you back here again. Christina, this was so helpful to understand the most influential planets here that can really bring us down, and what they're really here to do if we tap into that high vibration. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you, Polly.
You're very welcome.